Have you ever woke up in the middle of a dream and the dream was so interesting that you wanted to go back to sleep to see the end of it? If so, what was the dream? Was exploring a jungle with a group of, I assume, friends. We ended up discovering some kind of temple, but it was dark, so we decided to set up camp. I was charged with gathering dry wood and leaves for the fire. While macheting my way through vines, I heard my name being screamed by one of the group members in a terrified way, repeatedly. Woke up to see my mom yelling my name and to get the fuck up already. I never found out what that temple was. This is going to sound crazy, but I had a dream exactly like that, and one of the people in the camp went missing. But it continued, and we found out there were jaguars in the area. I'm not joking about this at all. Same dream and I've had it multiple times. We're exploring after finding the temple, I guess. It was always a very obviously ancient but important ruin that we had to explore. I get tasked with finding brush, or twigs or dry wood. I'm walking around, and I just hear the scariest shrill. I run and a man is there. He ties me to a barbecue/grill, and asks me to pick a wall. I wake up. Edit. Almost every time I've had this dream I thought the scream was from my little sister, even though I show up and no one, except the man and the grill and some wolves are there. What if when we dream we get queued up and matched with other dreamers online and shared dreams? Estimated wait time 47:51. I used to have lucid dreams in my early to mid 20s. As soon as I'd realize I was asleep, I'd start flying, or just rising to the ceiling, because it was a cool way to test it. Then my immediate thought would be who should I pretend sleep with? And the excitement over that possibility woke me up every damn time. A moment for our fallen bro. The tragedy of Icarus. Who among us hasn't dreamt of flying too close to the ceiling fan? This reminded me of the scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where Charlie and Grandpa drink the bubble wine or something and almost fly into the vent blades. Lol. Fizzy lifting drink. Damn, someone knows his Willy Wonka products. A long time ago, I had a dream that there were ghosts living in my family's garage. Nowhere else, just the garage. I somehow became friends with one, but she was unable to speak to me, leave the property that the house was on, and wasn't able to show any facial expressions that wouldn't be considered terrifying. Me and my ghost friend were playing on the house porch and two guys were trying to break into the house. She tried to stop them by scaring the living heck out of them by making a terrifying face and screaming the most blood-curdling scream ever right in their faces. I wasn't able to see the face she made, but I somehow knew it was there, and all I could hear was the scream. The people trying to rob the house ran off, but instead of celebrating, I curled up and started crying because of how terrifying the scream was. I absolutely loved that ghost, and I forgot that her whole purpose was to scare people, but she did it to protect me in the house. I still cried though, and she tried to cheer me up the best way she could. Then I woke up. I knew that was a dream, but I didn't want to leave my ghost friend alone knowing the last time she saw me was when she scared me to tears by accident. I tried to go back to sleep, and I did, and I somehow successfully re-entered the dream, only it was several years in the future. The garage still had a couple of ghosts in it, but not nearly as much, and the rest seemed to be oblivious to humans. I was going into the attic, and found some pictures in there of me around the age I was friends with the ghost, and on a picture I saw a very faint image of her face standing next to me. I went down the attic and woke up. I didn't get to tell the ghost that I forgive her or anything, and I still feel some sort of emotional attachment to her. It was probably the best nightmare I've ever had, and one of the dreams I wanted to go back to the most, just so I can tell her that there are no hard feelings. Edit. Thanks for comments everyone. I was just procrastinating and scrolling through Reddit, and saw this post and thought, oh yeah, that happened to me once. I was seriously not thinking much of it, and wasn't expecting this many people to be interested in it. This has made my day. How many people have interest in this? Thanks. Another Reddit for good reasons. For y'all out there, this is about my dream where ghosts exist, and one of them I became friends with. I appreciate the support in the comments, but please stop wishing/hoping that we meet in real life. A ghost is a ghost. I would feel physically ill if I saw a ghost, wholesome or not. Thank you for your time. One last edit because of skepticism. It's been like 5 months since I left this comment here, and looking back on it, I probably should have cleared something up. I remember this dream pretty well, because I wrote what I remembered from it on a piece of paper that I had brought to my room before I went to sleep, so I could draw. I used to read it every now and then, and I had memorized most of it eventually, and had written a very short story based off of it. I have since lost both of these pieces of paper, and they've probably been thrown out by accident by now. Either way, I hope that clears something up regarding my memory of this dream. And yes, I know that my edits are starting to become the length of my story. You don't need to tell me. I was friends with Jesus in the modern day, and he was sound, not preachy. One of the lads like, did he by any chance tell you to kill the president of the United States by spinning really fast? Were you also coincidentally in a horse race? Did you also happen to be a cripple? And did being a cripple not really come into the story that much for some reason, except when the author decided it was relevant? And by any chance, were you chased by multiple versions of the president who somehow shared the same consciousness? When I wake up in the morning, I usually have 30 more minutes before I have to actually get out of bed. If I'm having a dream before I wake up and I go back to sleep, I can usually continue the dream. Last night I had a dream that I was in some kind of resort/Jurassic Park like area. I went back to sleep this morning and managed to get into a relationship with a pretty hot dude who was working at the resort. It's like Hollywood forgot to take down the set. A few months before I got married, I had a dream where Bill Murray was attending my wedding and asked to make a toast. I happily agreed. Then, before I could hear the toast, I woke up. I have a story about when the opposite of this happened. It was a fucking epic fantasy dream, let me tell ya. Evil wizard of some sort that I'm pretty sure was my 8th grade math teacher kidnapped princess, a worthless but snappy sidekick that was my best friend. I roll. This dream had everything. So I beat the bad guy, rescued the princess, and brought her back to a village of, I think, Uoks or something. I dunno. Big celebration. Everybody went hooray and stuff, and then it didn't end. We just kinda stood there looking at each other. It felt like a long time. Uoks just kinda start milling around and doing their everyday shit. Made some small talk with the princess. And then eventually the dream ended and I woke up. It was a strange one. I had one where I was wandering through my hometown for what felt like hours, and eventually the dream became lucid, and the dream dragged on, and I was just walking around looking at stuff. Eventually I started thinking that I'm probably late for school since the dream went on for so long, and I tried to figure out a way to get myself to wake up. I tried lying down on the ground and thought that people walking on me would probably do it. But it didn't. I didn't feel a thing. So I lied down in the middle of the road and a car hit me. And right before it hit me, I woke up in the middle of the night. I figured out how to lucid dream pretty young, and I found that when I tried to control the dream too much I'd wake myself up. But if I just kinda let the narrative continue and stay within the framework of the dream, I could do whatever. In my early hormonal teen years, this led me to try to stick my dream dick in pretty much anything with 2 legs. That was kind of a wash though, because I was a virgin, and I didn't know what the fuck sex was supposed to feel like anyway. I once dreamed that all of my family and closest friends were on the world's largest cruise ship. Along the way, we somehow were exposed to radioactive waste that gave us all superpowers or other mutations. I remember so vividly being able to use my mind to move objects with ease, and I threw donuts at my brother, whose skin had turned as hard as stone. This one girl on the cruise, that we all universally hated, for reasons I can't remember, received a really random and useless mutation. She grew a really fat lizard tail, like a leopard gecko who has eaten a lot lol. She was crying about how ugly she was now and all we could do was laugh. Then I woke up. I have so many questions lol. I dreamt that I was part of some Eastern European resistance movement who had to speak in code and hide out in abandoned manors in the forest to plan our attacks against some fascist regime. We enlisted the Pope to help us, but when we went to meet him, he has double-crossed us because the regime we were fighting somehow knew the Pope was gay and was going to tell everyone. I woke up then, not knowing if my resistance group was executed or if we escaped somehow. I call it my gay Pope dream. Bro, this is awesome. My dreams are just random shit like walking in a forest. You're out there fighting fascists with a homosexual Catholic. I had a nightmare a couple years back, and I still remember some bits. I was in a city where there was an outbreak of a disease. Infected people would start leaking black stuff from their eyes and noses and attack non-infected people. For some reason, I was walking in a part of the city that was completely deserted a couple days after the outbreak. Very faintly I heard someone crying. I approached and found out that it came from a backyard. If I wanted to see who it was, I had to climb a high fence. When I walked into the backyard I was fucking horrified. There was a crying little kid, like 3 years old on a leash, tied to a pole. I didn't dare to approach, because that child was leaking Valk stuff from the nose. I woke up after this, and was still horrified. The parents had to leave their child who was still alive, chained to a pole outside. That fucked me up for a couple of days. I would watch this movie, make this whole thread into a movie, and I'd watch it. The main character has to survive during an outbreak that's being caused by a fascist regime which the main character has to fight with the help of a gay pope and a friendly ghost. Who are there? Yup. That's one of the most fucked up dreams here.